The Thing with Feathers is a 2025 British film starring Benedict Cumberbatch. It's written and directed by Dylan Southern, and it's based on the book and adapted from Grief is the Thing with Feathers by Max Porter. The title is referring to a poem by Emily Dickinson titled Hope is the Thing with Feathers. The movie runs for 104 minutes long, has a budget of $6 million, and it premiered January 25th, 2025 at the Sundance Film Festival and had its release in the UK and in Ireland on November 21st, 2025. I do want to thank Pixel Scene Media for letting me check out the screener for this film. Now, the movie tells the story of dad and two sons. They don't have names, they just go by dad and two sons. And the story follows a widowed father, played by Benedict Cumberbatch, and his two sons as they struggle and cope with the sudden loss of their mother and wife. In the novel, grief is prominent, and it takes the form of a crow. That's the interesting thing about this story. It's a haunting presence that kind of embodies each and everyone's pain, but mostly the father's pain, or dad. I did read the book way back in 2015, and I will say that it was very, very different. I didn't expect anything like this at all. It was for a college reading English class, and it was really, really eye-opening. And to think that 10 years later a movie would be released, I didn't even think about that. But it's interesting because the emotion and kind of the depressional aspect that Benedict Cumberbatch plays in this is something like you've never seen him play before. You could say that he gets lost in this role, literally, and it shows. Because the way he looks into the camera, the way it's done, the way it's shot, it just gives you that idea of having a crow as a coping mechanism, and he's drawing it because he's an artist and he does graphic novels. It's just like, wow. But not only that, the crow speaks to him. The voice of the crow is played by David Thewlis, who you may know starred in the Harry Potter movies and a slew of the British films as well. He grieves in a different way than anyone else I've seen grieve before in a film like this. It's different than your usual films that deal with such loss, and there are a few horror elements in this movie that were shocking. I was taken aback by it because the way it's done, you see the dad drawing the crow and then quick flashes happen. And it's like, whoa, this is really different. This is really interesting. It actually reminds me of an adaptation of Stephen King's The Dark Half from 1993, I believe, which starred Timothy Hutton, which was kind of a split personality kind of thing, but the aspect of birds and crows kind of reminded me of that. It just had that dark feeling aspect to it, which is what this movie hasn't done. And you do feel for the character of the father or the dad as he's trying his best to raise his two sons, and it shows. But we do not know the mother at all. We don't know how she died, why she died. We don't know her name, and that's it. We don't at all. And it's just like, could it have been a little different if we did know how she died, what her name was, and what the aspect is. Maybe they go to a funeral home, they see her laying in the coffin or the casket, and it's like, oh, okay, this is really interesting but different. And just the way the coping mechanism is very, very interesting. The two sons played their part well, but it just felt one note. I feel like Cumberbatch is the one that really, really steadfast and actually kind of, made this movie move forward from start to finish. If you had any other actor playing this role, I don't think it would have been as good as it should have been. And I'm very surprised he's not getting critical acclaim for this role because it's very, very well done. Some might find this movie difficult to watch because of the subject matter, especially how, you have lost loved ones in your life, grandparents, parents, aunts, uncles, cousins, nieces and nephews. And in this, they themselves use certain means and how people use certain things coping with things. Like we come up with an imaginary friend or we have someone we talk to, whether it be a crow or, whatever that may be, whatever other aspect or object is, or an animal, or, how we talk about things. It's something else manifesting to you or to them and trying to fill that emotional void, which we know we all have when we lose someone that we have loved and it's all sudden. Not only that, the filmmaking techniques really, really work very, very well. The natural lighting is always the best. I love natural lighting in films. It's very prominent in this, and you can see natural light work in a way where if it's close-up shots of Benedict Cumberbatch and the sons, you can see the light coming in through the window or just the light if he's reading a book to them at night, and it just really works. And Cumberbatch uses his eyes for acting. It's an emotional aspect where you have to see to believe it, and it's his eyes. I will say that. And I will say, as a fan of acting, if you use your eyes as a means for emotion, then you know what you're doing. And Benedict Cumberbatch knows what he's doing in this. And just the intensity of the scene, especially when, you don't have to say a word and it's just like the face and the eyes always speak for themselves. You don't even have to say anything. And sometimes it's just even a stare. And it's like, ooh, you get that creepy, unnerving feeling. But it's interesting and, really, really good. I didn't expect this movie to, be as long as it was. 104 minutes is perfect. 90 minutes could have worked as well. But for what it is, this is an emotional film from start to finish. Didn't expect how it would go, especially how it would end as well. But Benedict Cumberbatch is giving his best, and probably the best he's acted in a very, very long time, since The Imitation Game, if I'm not mistaken, which he was fantastic in that as well. I do want to see more of Benedict Cumberbatch doing roles like this that bring him out of his comfort zone, because he really enjoyed something like this, because an actor of his caliber doing a film like this that is only being released in the UK and Ireland, and no one else is being able to see it unless it's on streaming or, it has a physical media release. It's going to be interesting to see how it goes. For me, The Thing with Feathers gets 3 out of 5 film reels. Let me know in the comment section what you thought about The Thing with Feathers, if you've seen it. If you haven't seen it, will you be checking it out now that I reviewed it? What do you think about Benedict Cumberbatch's acting? What is your favorite film of his in his filmography? And, how do you deal with loss of a loved one? Do you have a certain coping mechanism? Like the dad in this had the crow, and everything aspect is, what do other people have to use as a coping mechanism? And did you like this film? And did you know that this was based on the book titled Grief is a Thing with Feathers by Max Porter? Let me know in the comment section about all the questions I just asked. I'm Mr. Filmstock. Thanks so much for tuning in, and I'll see you all in the next review video.